All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's Growth Fund Committee for April 20th. We will begin with number one. Roll call, please.
Berg. Here. Crary.
Here.
Friedolfs.
Here.
Sowski. Here. Wallach. Whitney. And Wolf.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. Approval of minutes for February 23rd. Do I have any comments or corrections or
Motion to approve.
I have a motion from Berg. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second from Curry. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. All right. Number three, PACE loan modification request for Twin State Environmental.
Good afternoon, Chairman Friedolfs, members of the committee. Fairly administrative item for you, I think, to start the meeting. You might recall last time we met, we had a PACE loan to Twin State Environmental. This is the company that used the robotic arm system to clean the rail cars. As the staff report describes, basically in our pre-app process, there was some cross wires between the lender, the company, and then ourselves as to what the actual guarantees were going to be from the bank. In this case, the application that was submitted had a list of entities guaranteeing it, when in reality it should have been just the single guarantor, Twin State Inc. The bank has provided a letter attached to your staff report detailing why they're extremely comfortable with this structure moving forward. The financial strength demonstrated by Twin State Environmental as well as Twin State Inc. is very strong, supported by financials that we've reviewed as well. Let's see. Oh, our PACE, FlexPACE standard, program standard is to mirror the lender, so that's what we're looking for a motion to do today. Oh, myself, Scott Tinsman, I believe, and then, let's see, I think Nathan Kessler and Chris Johnson are also available online should you have any questions.
Have any comments? Yes.
Do we know so this is a PACE loan, BND, I would imagine would be supportive of this change? Have we confirmed that?
That's correct, yes. Yep, it's all same security arrangement with BND as well.
And thank you for the information. Obviously it's good to know what the bank is doing, structuring it similarly. And it looks like, because typically we would, follow the bank, but most banks, they'd require a guarantee of, an owner of over 25% of the business. I'm assuming the other businesses that we're going to be releasing from the guarantee are also owned by the same family, the same group.
I think maybe I'd let, let's see, Scott on there. I don't see him on there. Nathan's on there. Nathan, I don't know if you can speak to that, but that's my understanding anyway, is that these are sort of all subsidiary corporations that speak to each other. Nathan, I don't know, can you add any context there?
Yeah, and that's my thought process as well. Then I want to be very honest and upfront. I'm not very familiar with CCT and with Trigger Investments. Then, as outlined in a letter from the bank as well. Then too. With TSE as the borrower and with Twin State Inc. as the guarantor, then the bank feels very, very safe and strong in this deal as well. Then too, usually in most cases, then if there's an owner that has more than 20% of the ownership within an entity, then we usually have them guarantee of the note as well then too. But again, given the strength of the borrower as well as Twin State Inc. itself, then we felt that wasn't necessary to do. Then I do believe that Scott was going to join us then. I'm not sure if he's having maybe some challenges at all then, but my understanding is with those other those LLCs, those are used more on a pass-through side for the Tinsman, for the family then. So really don't feel that if those guarantees would be excluded, that really doesn't change the deal in an adverse way.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there's strength with the two entities, so I was more curious on typically that I would guess those other entities were tied to the same family, where if we have the other entities with the family, is sufficient assurance, in my opinion. So I'm supportive of this.
All right, thank you, sir. Any more comments? I'd look for a motion to approve.
I'll motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All right, a first from Mr. Wolf and a second from Mr. Curry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right. Number 4, business park lot purchase offer of 2755 South 48th Street.
Thank you, Chair Friedolfs. This is an item, this is a lot that's actually passed hands a couple times. If you remember, I want to say 2 years ago, we had sold this. It came back to us from a local developer who was trying to develop it. At that time, we gave them a certain amount of time to build on the lot, which is our process that we do. If they are not successful, we do ask for it back, as opposed to allowing them to increase price and develop it in terms of land-wise and make a bigger profit on it. So our what we do look for here is that somebody is building on the property, not necessarily having to be primary sector or anything like that, but we are looking for folks to actually build on the lots. We know that we have a good price on them. So from that perspective, we do have an offer here from Ross and Kirsten Hubner at $5 a square, which is the current rate that we've been requesting. They did have one contingency I'll point out, which is they are not using a realtor in this case. They have asked for relief on that 3% real estate or realtor fee to come off that $5 a square foot price. We thought that at this point it was a good point to bring it forward. We have paid those realtor fees in the past, so with that I'll entertain any questions. We do feel that this is a good fit and are recommending approval.
Yes, Rebecca.
How much time do we give them to build on the land? I remember this one coming back to us, or one recently.
Yeah, I think we've given 2 years is what we've given.
Okay.
This gentleman he does have a rush on it because he does have an interest in getting started this summer.
Okay, so this one will stay their property then and be
Yes, I
built on.
believe so, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And with that being said, just kind of a follow-up to that, I didn't notice in there, but before anything would be executed on the city's behalf, we'd have that language in there that has to be built on within 2 years, and there's no wholesaling it as well. Like, they can't just turn and flip it to, they have to be the builder on it, correct?
Correct. So in this case, we will get that language in there. This was just their purchase agreement offer that they sent to us. We're asking the city attorney to review, and he'll put those conditions on there.
And then is it just to, maybe from the city's perspective, I mean, it's great moving land. From the city's perspective, then just want to make sure that the primary objective for that does not necessarily have to be owner occupied properties. It'd just be the city's prerogative to have any development for business growth, or is that, just want to confirm that?
Yeah, ultimately, we do have a requirement that it meets zoning, but not necessarily, it does not have to be an owner building for themselves. In this case, this does have I don't think Ross Hubner himself is going to put one of his entities within there, at least right now. He does have somebody else he's building for, and he does have somebody specific. There may be some additional land that he's still going to be marketing, but our main goal was always to get a building up.
Yep, just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a quick.
Yes, Rebecca.
So will the final agreement come to us, or will it just go right to council then with all the language?
So those 2 years would be the main thing, and any other pieces, I don't know if we'll get that by that final JDA, but I can provide you a copy of what we did have with Miscavige at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any further? Look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Got a first?
I'll second.
All right, a first and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And number 5, the annual recertification of EDA RLF plan.
Thank you, Chairman Fried, also members of the committee. Sort of bookend the meeting with another administrative item. We're required annually to recertify our EDA RLF plan, which remains with EDA for their approval, but in order to maintain compliance with their regulations, we're just looking for a motion to recertify our EDA RLF plan.
Any comments?
Can I ask a question? Yeah. So I was going through it again. It's been, and I apologize, it's kind of been a little bit of time. Because this was all the federal money that's still federalized. I was going through it. So it's 7 years essentially revolving before we can request have it defederalized. The one thing I wasn't maybe more clarification on. So there's the cash requirements. That's a maximum amount of cash. We essentially, so what happens if we do not dispose of, if we don't find a way to allocate that capital? Does the feds claw that back then, or how does that work?
Yes, thank you. So basically they can claw it back at some point. Typically what the past process, I believe, has been, and what they kind of lay out in the risk matrix is that after 12 months, it'll ding you on the report. After 24 months, basically you have to consult with them and figure out like, okay, what are we going to do here? We need to get this money out. Anytime beyond that 24 months, I believe they can take action to claw it back. In fact, that did happen to us back with the, we call it the legacy EDA RLF, the post-flood RLF. I forget the year on that, but there was a portion that we had to cede back to the feds just simply because we couldn't get it out the door. It is a challenging program to deploy. So, we do work hard to try and get what we can out. But in fact, I believe I'm meeting with these fine folks tomorrow to discuss ways to how can we contact people, get the money moving. So
yeah, so that was gonna be my next question. Is that we have to have whatever 250,000+ deployed, which again worth noting just for on the public record, the dollars were federal dollars from COVID that came locally. It's not necessarily local taxpayer funding. And so this is federal dollars in the community. We're trying to redeploy that. So just making sure, a little blurb in the Herald or something, like there's options available and the terms are pretty stinking good. If people are in distress and need help, maybe I'll just do that little plug.
That's a good comment. Rebecca.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point to make, and that's something that I tell constituents when they call me is we don't have other options on what to do with these funds. This is why we were given them. But I do have a question. Do we have to continue being certified in this program after the 7 years? Or is this just something that we normally
it's just
maintain?
while it's a federal program. So we just have to, program requirements, we have to recertify annually our plan for the federal use of those funds. After defederalization, we wouldn't have to continue to do this.
Yeah, but are there, do we get other funds that are federal that continuously cause us to be certified in this though? Like after 7 years, do you foresee, I guess, in the next few years, us getting additional federal funds where you're going to have to do the recertification? Is kind of what I'm asking. Or was like the COVID money the first time that you guys had to apply get certified?
So these funds stem from, as you mentioned, post-COVID, we got that one big influx of funds from COVID to set up this RLF fund. We have to recertify the plan for those. That's what these are each year. We have to do that. I don't anticipate, there's no other influx from the federal government, at least that I'm aware of. Hopefully not another disaster-related one for sure, that I'm aware of. So hopefully after that 7 years in defederalization, those certifications won't have to continue.
I move approval.
I have a first. We can do a second, and then we can have the discussion. Right? Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Was just going to ask. I know that we submitted this. It's not been approved, which I know these things take time. But do we have any? Is it just they just need more time, or are there any concerns with the program? I saw that we're risk rated a B, our last. But are there any program concerns that we've heard from the EDA?
No program concerns. I have followed up with our rep just, consistently every 6 months or so. Is there anything else needed from us on this? He assures me there's nothing further needed on our end and no concerns he's illustrated or anything like that. I think they're just generally time constrained. And, processing active loans and that sort of stuff obviously takes priority, which is understandable. So no concerns that I've been made aware of from our representative on our end or anything like that. So just a function of time, I think.
Thank you. That was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I have a first and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, thank you. All right, 6, information only. Paid due repaid loans update.
We have 2 past due loans, African Arts Arena and Dogma Hall. I've reached out to both of those businesses and they should be making payments here soon. Delore with African Arts Arena said a payment should be coming the beginning of May. And then the other one, hopefully by the end of the month. As you can see too, their current balance is getting closer to 0. So we will continue to work with them as well.
So it looks like the Arts Arena, their last payment was made November of last year. So they're a bit late. Okay. Did anyone have any comments? I didn't see. All right, that was informational only.
I guess I have a question
Oh, yeah.
/ comment. So what do we do then if they continue to don't make payments?
So typically what we've done in the past is, we'll bring this back to this body. Typically, if they're not making progress, we'll bring back. And if we're not hearing from them, we'll bring it back for action, that sort of thing. In this case, it's sort of been a pattern, I guess, over the past several years where there'll be several months without a payment and then a large lump sum to get caught up. Certainly not our preference and is sort of mode of operation, I guess. But by the time they do get caught up, there's not as much action to take. So in this case, though, I believe Anna's contacted Delore in making sure that, we do need to get this back on track. And if the train doesn't get back on the track, we'll be here before you for action.
Okay. What did Dogma Hall say?
I have not heard back from them currently, but they usually do pay towards the end of the month.
Okay.
And it looks, they made a payment in February, the end of February too.
February.
So. Okay. All
I
right.
would just say I appreciate the updates for these and what you're doing. When payments are slipping, contacting them, trying to reset expectations. That does happen with loans and small businesses and big businesses, but certainly being proactive, trying to talk to them, reset expectations, and then if we're not hearing from them or the expectations that we have are not being met, bringing that back to this group would be appreciated. So thank you.
Yep, Andy, I think you've done a great job of keeping us up to date on all this stuff. And so, when people start, don't communicate, that's our big thing, right? So if they're communicating, we'll work with you. But if you're not going to communicate, we'll have some issues. So, all right.
I move adjournment.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned.
All right, welcome everybody. This is the time and place for the Board of Equalization meeting for Monday, April 20th. Get a roll call, please, Maureen.
Weigel. Wasowski.
Here.
Berg.
Here.
Lensky.
Here.
Friedolf.
Here.
Veen.
Here.
President Sandy.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 1.2, consider protest recommendation of the city assessor. Ms. Lazur.
There we go. Good evening, Mayor Buczynski, President Sandy, members of the board. 2 weeks ago, we had 11 taxpayers come to our Board of Equalization to appeal their 2026 tax valuation. This is probably more than typical, but each taxpayer has had a concern, and over the past 2 weeks, we've done our investigations to uphold or adjust the values based on the information that is and was available to us. Just to put a little bit of those 11 appeals into context, we have 16,533 parcels between improved residential, improved commercial, vacant land, and agricultural properties. With the new legislation this past year, we sent out a notice, assessment notice to the 14,250 property owners that own those 16,500 parcels. In the past, when we have sent out notices of increase at 10% or more, we've ranged from 1,500 to 4,000, depending on the year and the market at that time. Again, 11 property owners have appealed. We've been able to explain the reasoning for no value or support a reduction with the property's assistance to provide in-person walkthroughs of the property on except 3 properties. As a reminder, the assessing department is responsible for placing valuations on all taxable properties in our jurisdiction. The valuations are the equity component of the equation for each property's tax dollars. The second component is the tax, in the tax dollar equation is the budget needs of each jurisdiction. We hear frequently from property owners the impact of the valuation changes in their tax dollars, but I always try to remind them and ourselves that our function is to value the properties for equitable distribution for the budgetary needs, while the final computation of the tax dollars is determined by each taxing entity's budget. The tax dollars are not our focus. With that, I guess we can move on to our first protest, which is 701 Demers Avenue. This is a property that earlier in the week when I visited with the property owner, he had verbally withdrawn, and as of about 1 o'clock this afternoon, withdrew his withdrawal. Let me just give you a quick information on what I have for you in a quick staff report that came to you late. I did give you each copies of it in case you didn't get it online. This is a building that was built in 1995, constructed of a concrete block wood frame building that's, I thought I put on here, 6,085 square feet of building on a 33,643 square foot lot. It has 21,111 square feet of pavement, and it is located just off of the Demers overpass, right on the right-hand side east, with the railroad tracks adjacent to it in the rear. The property owner did this afternoon provide us with 3 years of income and expenses. I didn't have time to thoroughly look through that to make some assessments from the income approach. My valuation of $880,000 is based on the cost approach. I have given you in the information I provided to you sales of properties within the last 2 to 3 years that do support the valuation on a cost per square foot. I did also include a fourth one that is much larger, probably better quality, but it does have the railroad tracks to the rear of it, just for a sense of what other properties with that same influence might have. I have applied, though, obsolescence for the location of this property. Being right off the that overpass may cause some economic obsolescence and that should be applied. So it's my recommendation to withhold the $880,000 value that we have on it for the 2026 tax year. I do believe that the property owner may be online to address.
He wasn't going to be able to go online, but I can address.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. This is Mrs. Danks. She may have the comments. Go ahead. Come on
Please.
up.
My husband's not a good Zoom user, so the only thing he was going to say is we had the renter on the larger side of the building move out about 3 years ago. They paid a lease for another year. We have marketed it with 2 realtors and privately, and we cannot lease that building. So it is assessed probably correctly, but without being able to get a renter in, it's hard to, make ends meet that way. And so downtown, we have Epic across the street from us. We have downtown properties that I don't think lease very well right now. So it used to be a data center, so it was kind of obsolete now because the data centers are going bigger. So we need to change that out, but still we had one interested party in 2.5 years to lease it. So that was more of the concern, not that the structure, we did put a new roof on it because the other tenant had water. It was leaking, so it needed to have a new roof put on, which we put expense into it. So that property did not go up substantially in price, but it's also not generating any income in the last 2.5 years. So the one side of the building.
All right, thank you. Anything further,
I
Mrs.
have no
Zur?
other comments unless you have questions for me.
Mr. Gossett, should we just go through and accept the recommendation, or we can make alteration? We go through A through K individually. Is that probably the best?
I'd go through A through K individually, so you have a vote on each particular parcel.
Sounds good. So let's open up to council. You can withhold the valuations as Ms. Lazur, or make any alterations that you feel appropriate. And just keep in mind, anyone else that's here, this is the first step. There's the county equalization board and then the state equalization board after us. You can appeal at every level. I think the county one is June 2nd. So if you didn't get the result you liked here, you'd have another opportunity June 2nd in front of the county to state your case. So is that true, Mr. Gosted?
Only to the exception that if you don't do both the city and the county, you cannot go to the state. Board of
Okay.
Equalization.
This is the first step, but you have to take the first step to take the next step. Okay. Perfect. All right. Open up to council members or look for a motion.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yep.
You're looking for a motion on all of 1.2 or each
No,
one
just A,
individually?
just A at this point. And
I certainly have sympathy for Ms. Dank's plight. I certainly hope that she's able to rent out the other half of that building, but I don't think that changes the value that the city assessor is putting on the facility. So I think logically we should uphold the assessment that she's provided. So I'll move approval of staff recommendation.
I'll
Okay, we got a
second.
motion from President Sandy, second from Ms. Osowski. Any further comments from council? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
We'll continue on, or do you want, Maureen, do you want to read?
Okay, the second one is an appeal on property number 44.2802.0730021 Fenton Avenue.
Sure. So this is a property that when the property owner came here to appeal to us, was a lot with 2 sheds, not quite garages, but 2 sheds. When we went out there to view the property, both sheds were gone. We removed them. Value reduced to $18,000 for just the land. And that is my recommendation.
I move approval.
Got a motion approved from Osowski, second from Mr. Friedolfs. Any further discussion on item B? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Next one is at 374 Peyton's Place Circle, and that was verbally withdrawn.
Yes.
All right, so move on to D.
Okay, D, 605 24th Avenue South.
This property is a one-story property located on 24th Avenue South, built in 58, 1,056 square foot house with a single car, or excuse me, an attached garage. We have viewed it. We did an interior inspection. Property owner was there. He was very nice. This is average quality and above normal condition, consistent with what we would expect to see of a property of this age. Our valuation is equitable. The value increase was simply due to market adjustments, and our sales support our valuation. They range from 227,000 to 300,000. The owner has been notified of our recommendation and does agree with our 2026 valuation. So I recommend to uphold and no change to this valuation.
Okay.
Motion to
Council,
approve.
we got a motion to approve that recommendation, second from Ms. Linsky. So a motion from Friedhoff, second from Linsky. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Next one, 2304 Chestnut Street.
So this property is a story and a half located on 2300 block of Chestnut Street. The current owners have owned it for about 4 years. The prior owners did an extensive remodel into the home. When the property owner again allowed us in, did our inspection, the condition that we have seen, the deferred maintenance has happened in that amount of time. So a reduction in value for this property is appropriate, and that's my recommendation. I recommend to lower the value to $382,000.
Ms. Lazur, I know we had talked separately, but there was some increase in valuation because of that remodeling exemption had come off. So that was a little bit more of a surprise that they
Yes.
were unaware of. Okay.
Thank you. So this property did increase because of market value and because the 5-year remodeling exemption was removed. It had expired. He was not aware of that remodel exemption at the time that he purchased it or in the subsequent years. And so when we explained that to him as well, he was understanding of what had happened. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lazur.
I move approval.
Got a motion to approve Ms. Lazur's recommendation from Osowski, second from Berg. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Appeal of 1127 South 12th Street.
So this property is a 1952 home, one story, 1,046 square foot home on a 7,000 square foot lot. We had this valued at $175,000. With our exterior inspection, we noted the vinyl siding was actually directly sitting on the ground, which then confirmed our interior inspection then also noted standing water in the basement. So we can tell that the condition of the home, not only just because the vinyl siding is sitting on the ground, but also there had been many changes, modifications in this property over time that were unpermitted. Condition on the interior was different than what we anticipated as well. So lowering this property again was appropriate. We do recommend to lower it down to the 119,000. As a side note, this property owner was actually qualified for the senior homestead credit as well. So we were able to take that opportunity and sit down with her to get her on that and get her the 2 years back plus current year. So she is current and will continue to get those applications every year from us.
Oh, great job on that. All right.
Yeah, I appreciate you sitting down with her and educating her on that. So thank you very much. I move approval.
Got a motion approved from Osowski, second from Berg. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Appeal on 505 and 507 North 3rd Street.
Excuse me. This is a converted resident to a 2-family property. Our inspection, property owner again let us in. Our inspection showed that it's in very good to excellent condition. We would, from our condition quality standpoint, we would make no recommendation to change it. But in the sales that occur of these types of properties, our research shows that there is obsolescence. They do not function the same as a typical single-family home. So based on all those sales and for equity, obsolescence is appropriate to put on here. For equity reasons, we do recommend lowering it to the 199,000. Sorry, I get very short in my valuation.
What was the original?
The original was 242.
242.
I move
Okay.
approval.
Got a motion to approve Ms. Lazeur's recommendation and a second. So motion again from Osowski, second from Berg. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Next is the appeal on 3712 Belmont Road.
We have another single-family home, one-story, on Belmont Road, 20,000 square foot site, 1,408 square feet. Current property owners in the last 10 years have done extensive interior remodeling. It's in very good condition. But I think that based on our inspection of the property, we overstated quality. And so again, therefore, I'm recommending that we reduce value from $455,000 to $424,000.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve from Berg, second from Friedolfs. Any further discussion on item H? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Appeal on 3086 44th Avenue South.
This is our two-story on slab property. It is built in 2018. It's 2,760 square feet on a 9,832 square foot lot. Our original value is $502,000. It does have a 3-stall garage as well. Property owner let us in. We did talk with him. Overall quality, condition are consistent with what we would expect. The sales that have happened in the last 2 years, year and a half, support the valuation 502. Actually, in our sales data, the first comp provided in there sold for $550,000. Exactly the same property, exactly the same square footage difference of a 2-car garage versus a 3-car. So I do recommend that we uphold our value at $502,000. Property owner has been aware. We have had this conversation. They are aware of the valuation and they're okay with, have agreed to it.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Berg, second from Friedolfs. Any further discussion on item I? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Next is the appeal on 717 Reeves Drive.
Okay, so the next two appeals are very similar in age and location. We'll just take the first one, even though some of my comments will overlap. So if you'll pardon that overlap, that would be just making it a little easier for you. This particular property in and of itself is a story and a half, or excuse me, it's a 2-story property, 2,434 square feet. It's located on Reeves Drive, a historical home, very nice, that we can tell from our exterior inspection. Property owners were unwilling, they did not want us to do an interior inspection. Our department practice is, with regards to appeals, is to follow the North Dakota State abatement standard that states the applicant agrees to allow inspection of the property in question by assessment officials. That has been our policy, our practice, excuse me. I have talked with other property owners and have told them that we need to view the property to make a value reduction to support any consideration of that. And so that is a barrier for us not being able to see the interior of this property. The property owner did send us photos of the basement. Based on what I can see, I'm not sure that it's the full basement, but that is the information that was provided to us is what I know. And those photos I did include as a revisement to your staff report this morning, so you should have those on the last page. The sales comparables do support our valuation. All the sales are in the subject neighborhood. They bracket the value. My recommendation is for no change on this property due to our office practice requiring and asking for that interior inspection. As a Board of Equalization, you can vote to adjust any value. Certainly there are consequences to uphold the value and consequences to vote to change the value. But due to our department practices and prior appeals, I recommend no change on this property. Again, as Mr. Gostad stated, if the property owner chooses to continue with this appeal, they can go to the county and the state at this time.
Okay.
I move approval of staff recommendation, Mayor.
Got a motion from President Sandy, a second from Mr. Friedolfs. Any further discussion on item J? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
If I may request a stop at Ms. Danks may wish to have a comment, and my apologies that
Okay.
Sorry.
stepped through that. A little too much on autopilot.
All right,
The only
please.
thing I'm going to say is just for the part of town I live in is the near north side historic district. And just a point that anybody that owns a 100-year-old home, it's a passion. I don't think after 100 years, we see an increasing value that goes way up from the costs that you put in to maintain it. So I noticed when I came 2 weeks ago, it was very educational, that you had new buildings, new buildings that get reduced. You had about 8 different things. You might look at adding historic buildings to that list because there's going to be a certain curve where their value is just going to go down. And I can verify, I love my house. It's probably worth what it is, but it's not going to go up like a new home. And the amount of money you put in to keep it, the roof, cedar shake, molded by hand by a group of people from Florida, because it's the only place that can come to do it. But I think it's a cool home that you drive by and everybody comments on. But it is very cost worthy for the owner of that home. So I think after 100 years, maybe there should be a little rule that anything over 100 years has a special consideration because you're going to put as much money into taxes as you are going to be maintaining it. That was my only comment, but I like my home, so I'll pay the tax.
Thank you. Do you have a comment, Ms.?
Yeah, I have a
Wasowski?
comment. Do we not have anything that has to do with historic homes around here?
The sales in that neighborhood would certainly what we would lean on in order to make market adjustments.
Right.
I don't disagree that the properties on Reeves Drive are very unique,
Right.
and we are always trying to monitor what is happening. There was a property that sold on Reeves Drive this past year that sold for less than what our assessed, or excuse me, sold for more than our assessed value. It's on the historic side. It's much nicer, much bigger. So I don't consider that a good comparable if that's where I would go to support this value, but we do monitor what's going on and try to be reflective of what's happening.
Okay, so but I know we already voted on this, but you have this valued at $435,000, correct?
Yep.
And then you put in, I don't know what page this is. It says page 7. You put in what you're calling like comparable sales.
Yep.
None of them are as high as hers are. There's only one that's a couple grand more. The rest are in the 325, 312,
Correct.
360.
Yep.
And so I don't understand then if you are using these as comps, how hers is valued at 435.
So the property that you're referring to on that list is 500 square feet smaller, sold for
Well, there's four of them, not just one. And so
Right, but
that's why I'm confused.
The property that I would lean most on would be the 722 Reeves Drive. That's located right across the street from hers. It sold for $439 is what my memory tells me. And I would lean most heavily on that one. Again, that one sold for
But if you're
less
putting
than
these
our,
as
or more
comps
than
and
our
then
assessment value.
so you're putting these in as comps, but you're just heavily leaning towards one. Is that proper?
Yes. In appraisal practice, it is.
Okay, so we're saying we have comps, but really we have one comp and we're just putting the rest of them there.
No, I went through the neighborhood and found properties that were similar to this one as best as I could.
They're just all like almost $100,000 less, except for the one that we are leaning on. So, thank you.
All right, Storstad. That motion
Next.
did pass
It did
unanimously. yeah.
pass, yes. So the next one then is 110 8th Avenue South.
Okay, so this property is located on 8th Avenue South, right next to the lift station. It's built in 1922. It's a story and 3/4, 2,228 square feet. Our value on it for 26 is $261,000. Current owners purchased this home in September of 2025 for $195,000. From our exterior inspection, again, property owners were not wanting us to do an interior inspection of this property. We noted peeling paint. There is work that needs to be done on this property. We do view it as below normal condition. We do have minimal basement finish on it. Based on the sales of properties, again, in that neighborhood, I do recommend that we hold the $261,000 value. They have installed some basement windows. During that time, the sale price and market value are not always the same thing. Garage that's on the property is a single wall garage that is in poor condition. I have looked through the sales data to look and see if we had any other properties that were located next to a lift station to see if there is any market resistance to that feature, and I was not able to find any. So based on the information that I know, based on the information that I could observe from the exterior of the home, I am recommending to uphold the $261,000.
Yeah, please, Ms. Lunsky.
Did you say it recently sold for 195?
Yep.
So I guess I'm confused why you're going with the 261 if it's sold for 195?
So this was part of a reappraisal back in 2024. The owner at that time was an elderly lady that was in the nursing home. Family members owned it. My understanding is that it was a for sale by owner. At the time, it was listed on MLS for 29 days before it closed for the 195 at full asking price. In that amount of time, there can be work that is done, and sale price does not always equal market value. It's like my very basic layman terms is almost like buying on clearance, right? When you buy something on a clearance rack, you get a great deal, even though it's probably worth more. I'm not saying that this is a clearance deal. Please let me be sure and be honorable in that.
Ms. Danks, is this your property too?
It's in our backyard, and so this property had not been upkept for 8 years. So the neighborhood, the talk was somebody needs to do something about this. I would have bought it for 150 if it was my choice, because there was so much work needed. The heat went out, the pipes in the basement burst. There was water without people knowing. It was no heat, no water. The floors have expanded. There were squirrels, mice. There was a hole in the roof that caused water to leak down. There was no sheetrock on the ceilings in the part of that house that leaked. Why we would take on such a thing, I have no idea. The yard was overgrown, and I knew the lady that owned this house. She was very nice, but she just couldn't keep it up. But she was kind of a hoarder of things. Every brick that was ever left somewhere in town was in the yard, so we did do that. But honestly, looking at this house, I would never have paid more than $195 for it. And the amount of work, if you would to assess it next year after all of the renovations were done, I would agree that would go up in value. But again, the amount of money you put it in to get to that, I hate to pay more tax on something that you're paying so much money to get it to be livable. 104-year-old garage, I wouldn't call it a garage. It's a shed that is held up in the center by support beams, so you can't even park a car in it. So even at poor condition, it needs to be scraped away. But again, a lot of money into it. It's a cool looking Cape Cottage house, so it attracted us to try to renovate it. But I'd rather pay the tax once it has more value to it than what it was bought for.
I mean, Mr. Gassner, we need a decision tonight. Could your team get through it and be able to, so you have your practice continued in the next week and come back later? Or do we have to decide this evening?
If the property owner would consent to an extension of time, we could do that.
But if I may add, part of our barrier here is that we weren't able to get into the property. And there was probably a change in condition of that property since she purchased it to what our February 1st date is. That's really where my feet are in the sand here.
I guess that's only 5 months. I have a hard time believing that a mouse-infested house within 5 months has gone up in property value, $65,000.
The value of this property increased $21,000. In 2025, we were valued at $240,000. The valuation increased due to market adjustment of the sales in this neighborhood. We had 13 sales in this neighborhood. The sales area, not necessarily just in her street, but in this sales area, that ranged from 79% of our sold. Our assessed value was 79% of the sale price, up to 123, in which the 123% was her property. It was exposed to the open market, and so we left it in our sales ratio because it was exposed, and it's a good metric to be used.
But when you reappraised it in 2024, it was in no better shape, and that even went up in price.
Sure. And we weren't able to get into it at that time. That property owner probably wasn't living there yet, and the family members didn't contact us in order to make that inspection.
Are you intending to have some permitted work done? Because they'll have to be in there for that as well.
Yeah, and it's under, we have painted it and we've cleaned it, but the structure itself, it's the original cedar on the outside. The cedar is falling off. I mean, we got bids to redo the windows and the siding, and it was $180,000.
Okay.
To start that over. But the other thing I was going to mention, it's a shared driveway. So you share the driveway. So to me, that value comes down when you have to share a driveway. But just to point out another historic home that needs a little tender loving care.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Before you go, did you buy that from the Kellys?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly, was she still alive?
Yep, she lives in Fargo now.
Yeah, no kidding.
And so that was kind of the reason, because I didn't want.
I grew up playing in that basement.
Yeah.
When I was a young
You
person.
can come over.
It's
and
your
see
fault.
that.
Could have done some cleaning.
I think, would you let our assessors in the house?
The thing right now is that we were having a lot of work being done on it. So to me, the value that was put on it earlier, now it is going to look a lot better. I wish you would have saw it before we started, because that's how the value in 2024, I think, was way off. Because if you would have gotten in there, I mean, just living around the corner from that, it was very, just the yard itself, the house itself. So I think the value will change if you see that we've cleaned it up and you don't see what we saw when we originally bought it. You know, so.
Sure, but we only have today. I mean, we're trying to value it today in its
Yeah.
current condition.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Ms. Berg?
With a shared driveway, does that reduce any of the assessed value?
No, we have, again, I don't have any sales to support that there is a market resistance to that. Certainly with a shared driveway, if part of it goes bad, both owners are going to have to agree to probably replace it. We are valuing only the portion that's on her property. We are not extending that any further. So.
All right. Any plans from council? Gotta
Motion
make
to
a decision. Got a motion to approve the recommendation from Ms. Berg. Do we have a second? Second from Mr. Friedolfs. Any further discussion on item K? All right, seeing none.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Are
please.
we not gonna try to postpone it or anything, or to see if? No?
All right, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-1 with Osowski dissenting. All right, item 1.3, certified 2025 annual assessments to the county auditor.
Yes, so our valuation for the 26 tax year for agricultural, commercial, residential is $6,682,752,000. And we will certify and send that over to Grand Forks County.
Do we need a motion on that? Certify that, or look for a motion
I move
to
approved.
certify the annual assessments? We got a motion to approve from Ms. Osowski, second from Ms. Lunsky. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And 1.4 is the annual report.
My apologies, we were not able, with a busy day today, we weren't able to finish that all up and make sure that everything is accurate. We will get that to you in the next week. We'll send it to you, email, upload it to the city website, and provide it on a council meeting for information purposes only for.
And that would just have updates from just these properties here. The rest would be all the
Yes.
same information. Okay,
Yep.
so we'll look forward to that, and then it'll be posted on the website for anybody else that wants to review it. So that's all of our work for the Board of
I
Equalization.
move adjournment.
Got a motion adjourned from Ms. Osowski, second from Berg. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. All right, welcome everybody to the Grand Forks City Council meeting for Monday, April 20th. Roll call, please, Maureen.
All right, Weigel, Osowski, Berg, Lunsky, Friedolfs,
Here.
Veen, President Sandy. We have a quorum.
All right, item 1.2, Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, item 1.3, Mayor's announcements. Couple of announcements. First one, to give a congratulations to Mark Saunders. Mark worked in the building safety department as an inspector the last 11 years, done a great job. Finally hanging up his skates, I guess is what I normally say. I don't know what an inspector hangs up, but he's hanging it up, his belt, whatever you want to call it. So congratulations to him. Just did want to highlight a couple other things. Back April 7th, the Air Force Base had its first month of the military child program. So we're out at Nathan Twining School. Just getting to see all those kids brings you to life. So just recognizing all the students and how much they have to, and those kids have to travel to help out our military. They really serve too, right along with their parents. So it was a great ceremony, and just want to thank Wing Commander Rosales Slick for having us out there. Great event. I did want to highlight tomorrow the several UND students. They're having a revival over at the Chester Fritz Auditorium. Maxwell Eriksrud's done a great job and his team. So they came over here, talked about the event with us at City Hall. So if you get a chance, and you got some free time tomorrow night at the Chester Fritz, a non-denominational Christian worship event, and it's student-led, so it's going to be pretty great. A lot of community members there, so I just want to thank that group for putting that event on. And the tickets are free, so the price is right. That's all for mayor's announcements. We'll move on to item 2. Awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations. There are none, so we'll move on to item 3, public hearings and second reading of ordinances.
3.1, determination of protests. We have 2 of them for project 9097, district number 803, paving for Grand Park First Edition. And the second, project number 9049, district 796, reconstruct 11th Avenue North, North 4th Street to Gateway Drive. We've received no protests on these.
All right, we'll open up the public hearing for item 3.1, either project A or B. Anyone here to speak on item 3.1? Mr. Denault? No? Okay. You picked the perfect time to grab that slip. Looked like you wanted to talk on that. So we'll close the public hearing portion and open up to council.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Berg. Second from President Sandy. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And 3.2, public hearing and second reading of ordinance amending city code relating to Tech Accelerator Board.
All right, I can't imagine anyone's here to keep that alive, but I'll open up item 3.2 to the public hearing portion. All right, seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing portion and look to the council for action.
Approval.
Motion to approve from Ms. Osowski, second from Mr. Friedolfs. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 4, citizen comments. We have some comments this evening. Ms. Lundmark.
There were 2 that were posted electronically online for council's information. And I have 2 in person tonight.
All right.
Harry Samuelson.
Mr. Samuelson, please. And then during this portion, we'll get 3 minutes and the timer will be up there and
I'm going to try to keep this really quick.
Sounds good.
Good evening, Mayor Baczynski and the City Council. I just wanted to throw some comments out there, make the public aware of things that they maybe should be keeping on, and hopefully you guys can do a little deeper dive into some of this, particularly relating to this beacon whatever thing that's going on. I think going from your guys' agenda today, you've got this portfolio management summary that's listing all of your accounts and all of your interests and all of your values in it, where all this is supposed to go. Your vendor list shows every account that somebody got a boot compensation for, and all of the accounts and everything's listed on this. And from the information that I heard last week, you're grasping at straws to try to pull money together from this place and this place and this place and this place, where normally I've seen a city unit deciding that we're going to put this money into here, or this is where this is at, and we're going to take it out of this place, and it's going to be used for this particular thing, and it's going to be used in a plan, and hopefully it's a good plan. Sometimes plans don't work out, and however this happened, I think we're, as a city now, trying to resurrect a failed project, and we don't know exactly the particulars of it. The numbers that were given seem really sketchy. We don't know if this is going to be a long-term issue. We're talking about a couple $100,000 loss the first year, $120,000 loss at the 5th year, but we don't know. This could end up being $500,000 a year. But once the city already makes that deal, now we're locked into it no matter what. And I think it would be nice to have a little better dive into some of this, a little bit more precise plan, accounting, funding, and other items like we would normally do on all the other projects that we're working on, instead of just kind of haphazardly throwing this together, hoping that we can push something through. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Samuelson.
And Dennis Denault.
Mr. Denault.
Yes, sir. Thanks for letting me speak. The main reason I'm here is because of the rezoning. And personally, I would rather not have them build at all, but they're going to get their way one way or another. The biggest problem is the illegal snow dumping. They dump their snow on everybody else's property continuously ever since the garage was built, like 14 years ago. And the other thing, of course, is the parking, the legal parking. 14th Street is a very, very, very narrow street, especially in the wintertime. It's worse yet. It's bad enough in the summertime. And if you're going to let them rebuild, I would prefer the lesser of the two evils. The business versus all the renting and all the bad neighbors. It's been very peaceful ever since the place burnt down next door. So anyway, I guess that's about all I can do is leave it like that. The cops, city cops, PD, and the sheriff's department, they had enough of all the renters and all the crime and drugs that was going on next door. So all we can do is, if they're going to rebuild, just pick the lesser of the two evils. After their mom and dad built the business, they worked their asses off. So, all right, thank you, folks.
Thank you, Mr. Denault. Any further citizen comments this evening, Ms. Longmore?
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 5, action items. Right now, we've got requests for items 5.22, 5.23, and 5.24. Is there other items council members want to pull for further discussion?
5.5. I'm sorry. Yeah, 5.5.
5.5.
Did you say 5.22?
I said 5. Yeah, 5.5.
Right now, we have
And
5.5.
5.22.
5.2 as well. Okay.
22.
2.2. Yeah, we got 2.2. We don't have 2.
Great.
All right, so we got 5.5, 5.22, everyone's favorite, and then 5.23 and 5.24. Anything else council wants? Otherwise, we'll look for a motion to approve the remaining.
Move approval.
All right, let me read them in real quickly. Item 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, 5.9, 5.10, 5.11, 5.12, 5.13, 5.14, 5.15, 5.16, 5.17, 5.18, 5.19, 5.20, and 5.21. Got a motion to approve from President Sandy. Do we have a second? Second from Ms. Lunsky. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. So we are left with 5.5, 5.22, and 5.22 through 5.24. Saying a lot of fives tonight. So please, Ms. Dorset.
5.5. Starting with 5.5, bid award for project 900789, concrete subdivision, arterial, and street repairs.
Ready to vote, Mayor.
All right, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved from Ms. Berg. We have a second.
I second.
Second from Ms. Osowski. Seeing no further discussions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-1 with Sandy dissenting.
5.22, introduction of ordinance and preliminary approval to amend the zoning map to rezone from Southern Estates PUD Amendment 17 to Southern Estates PUD Amendment 18 to increase allowable density and allow residential on the first floor located 4425 South Columbia Road.
All right, Mr. Brooks.
Mr. Mayor, one.
Please, President
Before,
Sandy.
I did receive a letter to be attached to the agenda. It came a little bit late this afternoon, so I have emailed it to Ms. Lundmark, but it hasn't been part of the agenda yet, but it is for public information.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Brooks, please.
Thank you, Mayor. On this one in particular, we have a request to rezone a property. It's a commercial lot currently. It's at the corner of Columbia and 45th Avenue South. It's in the northeast quadrant of there. It's just south of the Bell Insurance SoCo office building area. And the request is they're kind of having a two-part area on this particular lot. They're looking to do a mixed-use building along Columbia Road, a 3-story. There would be units above a commercial building on the bottom floor. And on the east side of the lot, there'd be townhomes. There'll be all rented. There'll be 33 of those units. Overall, they're asking for an increase in density, total number of units going up to 65 on this site. In addition, normally on a commercial lot, we don't allow first floor residential. And they're requesting on the east side of that lot to allow for that first floor residential. So in this case, it is adjacent to other similar uses that are to the east of that. There's some townhomes, and that might be the letter that you received earlier that Councilman Sandy had mentioned. So with that, I'll certainly answer any questions if you have any other questions on that.
All right, Ms. Osowski, please.
Yeah, so with this increase in density, will there be enough parking?
Yeah, they aren't asking for any changes to parking requirements on this particular site. The units that they are putting in, they're going to have garages on the first floor, and then there'd be driveways in front of those as well. So they are doing a double garage with 2 parking stalls in front of that garage and then the unit above.
Okay, so they'll meet our current parking
Correct.
code with that. And can you tell me a little, so the way it's currently zoned right now, normally we do not allow residential on the first floor?
Correct. Yes. So
this will go against our own zoning?
yeah, that's why they're asking for the modification to the PUD. When they first started looking at this, they were looking at doing the mixed use. They were going to go 4-story high, which was permitted there. And they were going to be further to the east on this lot. And we actually, there's certainly some benefits to the current setup that they're talking about, just in terms of reducing the overall height and then moving the highest piece further towards Columbia Road.
Because we're going from 4 stories to 3, correct?
For the largest one, correct. Yeah, the townhome structures are going to be 2-story high, but that 3-story is going to be that furthest west building.
And it
along
used to be
Columbia.
4?
Yeah, they were originally looking at having that be a 4-story.
Okay, so ultimately they just knocked off a floor, but they want to use their base floor for residential instead.
Correct, and added more units that are further to the east.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Friedhoff.
Oh, actually, he was first. But so I did meet with one of the residents. This is in my ward. And standing in their backyard, I realized these 2-dimensional drawings don't really tell you the whole story. And I think the letters that went out were kind of generic. I think that, probably some residents probably just said, "Oh, this is garbage," and threw it away. In meeting with them, I understand their concerns. This right now, I stood in her backyard and it's a clear view, right? I say that as well. It's hard to say someone shouldn't build there, right? I mean, we freedom to build. And so I'm hoping what can come out of this, because there's still a public hearing and everything, that maybe that someone can produce I don't know if this is even feasible, a 3-dimensional drawing, right? That shows really how close these backyards are. Their house sits a little lower, but the fences are fairly large in the backyards. So when the building is built, there is literally going to be, no sun. I think the whole backyards will be shaded. And so I just, maybe a reconsideration of maybe the height levels or all commercial or something. I think there's got to be a better compromise with this, because if I didn't see it with my own eyes, just looking at the drawings doesn't really tell the whole story. So I don't know if a 3-dimensional drawing could be shown that really it's, an angle up is still this building. So, I'm usually all for housing, and we definitely need it. But I just wanted to be able to make sure that the residents were able to voice their concerns.
Sure. What we can ask and bring to that final is perhaps an elevation drawing from as if you were standing on 45th, so you could see what that distance, what that setback is, and then distance to where those townhomes would be, who are clearly going to be the most affected by this development.
Yeah, there's a row of maybe, I think, 4 homes or so that are probably the most affected.
Yeah, 4 twin homes, I think, 8 total units. Yep.
President Sandy.
Can you confirm, Ryan? I thought that those, the 11 plexes were garage on the main and then 2 floors above. it's garage on the main and just one floor above, so it's essentially a two-story home?
Correct. So here's a picture of it
Sure.
on the screen here. So you have the garage is on that main floor, and then it's just one unit, one floor above.
So what's the setback we're asking from the property line? How does it differ from any other residential?
I think if I remember right, I'll have to take a look, but I believe they were going to be 15 feet off of that back line. So it isn't, it isn't like a single family just because it's going to be a side yard on this property. So, but yeah, there's certainly going to be, I'll get that total amount, but I believe it was 15 foot is what we were looking at in terms of
Sure.
our landscape buffer.
But it's not 3 stories, it's 2 stories.
It is
so-
2 stories,
and-
correct.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
3-story will be this western one here.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is a side yard requirement in an R1, for example?
In an R1, you can go fairly
10%
close.
or
You can get,
Like 7
depending on the
feet.
size, yeah, you can get down to 5 feet typically is what we're looking at.
Okay.
Some of them 4.5 is, if it's a really narrow lot, we've been going 4.5. If it's like a 45 footer.
Any other comments, Ms. Osowski,
Yeah, I have a
please?
question. Did you say that the driveways are going to be 15 feet or is that
No,
A
the
setback.
side yard.
the side yard?
Yeah, the side yard. So this buffer along this east side here.
It's
15.
just going to be 15 feet
Correct.
from the back to whose property is this? Like, does it butt up against what's in
This is going to
yeah.
be townhomes here. These are all townhomes that are existing on this side.
Oh, that's what's there already?
Yep, correct.
How far away are they from the property line?
Well, they're front facing here, so they probably have, I'm just going to say about a 50-foot backyard potentially.
Is there like a sidewalk in between them?
Yeah.
Or
I can pull up an air photo.
That's where the complaint is coming from, is from that, one of the homeowners on that side.
okay.
me.
I mean,
Oh, no, you're good. And there's no sidewalk behind. If that's
so
what you're
it's
asking.
just like
Just grass and then a fence. Yeah.
there is going to be a fence.
There's currently a fence there.
There's currently a fence there.
These are the backyards here. This is,
Oh, okay.
as Councilman Friedolf said that, maybe it is just 2 twin homes here. Total. This is the lot in this location right here.
Mr. Brooks, they're not asking for a backyard set variance to the
Correct.
setback. So they're just asking to increase the density and then main floor on those residential main
On that
floor.
east side,
Yeah,
correct.
Okay, thanks.
On the east side of the west building, just so you're.
East side of these east buildings. East buildings. They'll be on the east side of here.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, I
15
get
feet
that.
there.
Yeah. But is there residential on the multifamily building too?
There is on the bottom floor, and that's allowed by code.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we have, if you think about that SoCo building that's up here, or the SoCo mixed use, that one's a 4-story that's up here.
Okay.
That's similar to what they were originally looking at on this lot. That was permitted. And that's where we kind of thought, well, you know what, this is a pretty good option to bring that height down overall. Cause that similar look that, will get you guys at final. The distance here, this one's a 4-story looking into, these backyards, bringing that overall height down, we thought was a much better option that they brought to us. So that's kind of where we had said, we think this is a really good option to bring forward and have everybody comment on.
And Guy Gusseldinger still wants the 43rd to go through. So if you can work on that. Dana's not for that, I don't think, though. All right.
It's no longer my word, man.
Oh, there you go. All right. All right. So I guess it's, no, yeah, please, Mr. Bean.
Mr. Brooks, so there's no elevation increase along the east side where the.
Well, there is from what's there today, because there's nothing
from
there.
what's there today,
Yeah.
but from what's it's zoned for.
Correct. Yeah, they could go up to 4 stories.
They could go up to, and zone, and they're only going up the garage and the 1-story.
Correct. Yeah, 2 stories.
Okay. All right, any further comments from council? Otherwise, we'll look for a motion.
Yeah, just real
Mr.
quick.
Friedhoff,
So
please.
just to point out that May 6th is the public hearing, and then May 18th, it'll come back to us for final.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Berg. We have a second. Second from Ms. Lunsky.
Sorry,
Any
Mr.
further
Mayor,
comment, please,
our
President Sani?
Mr. Brooks, is there any way to get a 3D rendering of some sort? Or
Yeah, we'll work with them. They actually have an
Somebody's
architect that's working with them, so I think we can get something, especially showing, you're talking about looking from 45th?
Yeah, I mean,
With that
even
height.
even what would be in my mind, looking at the side elevation of the two-story and an elevation of the single-family home and the fence, and seeing how they go together would be great, if possible.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Yeah, potentially from 25th Street would be.
Yes, I've
I
seen
don't
the
know if they would
architect come up with some pretty good drawings in the past, so hopefully he's in the audience and
And then just
He's
send the
listening.
bill to Mike Friedhoffs for that. So. No? All right.
I was going to make a joke, but it's probably not appropriate.
All right. Probably not. All right. We got a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-1 with Friedhoffs dissenting.
5.23, introduction of ordinance and preliminary approval to amend the zoning map to rezone from R2 1 and 2 family resident district to Knutson Printing PUD with B1 limited business district uses located 1323 University Avenue.
Okay, and I would point out, I think the speaker was begrudgingly in favor of this, if that would be a good way to put it. It was the better of two evils. But Ms. Oskowski, do you have a comment, or I don't know if you wanted to hear anything further from Mr.
I
Brooks?
have some comments and then a couple of questions. I don't think I need to run through the whole spiel, but, first off, this property was grandfathered into its current zoning right now. And so technically, if it burns down, it's supposed to go to the new zoning. But I do think it's their property, and I'm big on property rights, and I want to see them, be able to use their property. And after speaking, with other people in the neighborhood, I do think that it's a good decision to, rezone it to business if they are going to just have a business there and not have rental units. A couple questions though that I have, and I did ask Offset this, but I would like to publicly ask it. If we rezone it to the business, they cannot put apartment building or any apartments on this property, correct?
I was just speaking of this. They should include that in the PUD itself, that there's no residential allowed in because if you don't put that in the PUD, there's a possibility. As I was reviewing the ordinance with respect to B1, there is a possibility for residential, but if you put it in the PUD, then they would be precluded from doing that.
Do you think that the Knutsons would be willing to have that, or can we put that in the PUD?
I'll talk with them. We can certainly remove that. We've talked with them. They wouldn't have the parking for it anyway currently.
Right.
So I don't think that would be an issue, but I can certainly let them know that that's the wishes of council if that's the way it gets
I think
approved
if we're
tonight.
going to go ahead and change the zoning and stuff, that I think that would be good just for,
Good condition.
the happiness of the community around the property. Another question I have is, if they did not keep their current footprint, because it was just the red building that burned down, right? I'm looking at this one where it has the red and the yellow with the garage. It's just the red building. Nothing happened to the garage, correct?
Correct. I think that is staying in place.
Okay, so and then just say that we did not allow them to build on their current footprint, how would that change where they could build Knutson Printing? Like, would they have to take some setbacks, on North 14th Street, setback, or
Yeah.
on the sidewalk? How would that change if we made them meet current code?
This was part of the conversation with them as well. What would happen is you would have a front setback here, about even with these other homes here.
Okay.
And this the building would have to shift and move closer to the east
Okay.
And then this becomes that side yard setback that where you can get a lot closer as well. So those were some of the reasons that I thought it made sense, not obviously for them for financial reasons in terms of reusing the foundation, but also it kept some separation between the existing home that was there and the building itself.
And since you have the map up, I can see that we have diagonal parking where it should not be. I can see the lines are even drawn where that should be parallel and those hang out onto the sidewalk. I would like to see something done to address that issue. I mean, we do have a lot of pedestrians over there, and when are those, I mean, I don't know how current this photo is, but who drew those lines in there?
On their photo?
Like on the photo that you have up right now, because this is supposed to be parallel parking, and it was my understanding that we told them, the property owner, that multiple times, and now I can see that there's diagonal parking spots drawn on the cement.
Yeah, I think that's Public Works did that. This has been an existing carryover of
It's
angle
supposed to be
parking.
parallel parking is what it was originally done when we did the groceries. I believe there was a grocery store, and it was originally put in for parallel parking, and because it causes issues with the walkway. And we've had this conversation for the past 4 years that I've, after I met Mr. Denault, it's supposed to be parallel parking. That's what it was when it was a grocery store, because these cars hang out and they block the walkway. And I would like to see that addressed, because that has caused, not issues just for Mr. Denault, but other people within that. And so I would like to see that parking addressed. I think you can parallel park 2 cars there. And from what I read on the staff report is they're just going to need 1 worker and 1 car. And so that shouldn't be diagonal parking there. It was never meant to be.
Mr. Brooks, why don't you work with the owner, maybe without the residential, that won't be a need, and can be something that can be worked out in the meantime?
I've let them know that there's no guarantee that the angle parking would remain. That's certainly a Public Works call, so I will talk with them.
All right.
Okay, I guess I didn't realize that our Public Works went and drew the diagonal parking spots, because that's not.
That was my understanding, but I could be wrong.
That wasn't.
I can work with them.
Did you have another comment, Ms. Osowski? Otherwise, President Sandy.
I was just going to say they did that under my request because they were having such a hard time parking there. So I asked them to make it angle
No,
parking. They
it's
went
not
out,
supposed to
looked
be.
at it. What do you mean it's not supposed to be? There's not supposed to be parking out in front of this building.
There's not enough room to park there diagonally
There
like
is
that.
plenty of room
No,
to
there's
park.
not.
Yes,
you
there
can
is.
see even this
I
red car. It
parked there
hangs
diagonally
out.
myself. There's
And
plenty
it
of room.
hangs-
As long as you don't
and it
go too
hangs-
far up, there's room.
it
There's a
hangs
sidewalk there. You can park there.
No,
Cars
you
can
have to
get
walk
by.
around. You can clearly even see this red car. It was supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be diagonal parking. It was supposed to be 2 spots for parallel parking when that place was built and when it was a
It
grocery
was
store.
it was parallel parking. We changed
All
it
right.
to diagonal parking.
No.
All right, we're gonna go. Yeah,
Moving on.
We're gonna move on.
I just want to make sure that some of these issues that we've been having over the past few years are going to be addressed in this rebuild. It's Knutson's property. They can technically put what they want, and I'm big on property rights, but there has been a lot of issues with their neighbors, and this is one of them with people around there is the diagonal parking. And so I just want to make sure that when this does get redone, it gets redone correctly, because they're already going to go against current code. So with the rebuild and staying on their current footprint. And so I just want to make sure that this stuff is being taken care of while we have the opportunity to do it. So
Any
I
other
guess
comments, Ms. Osowski?
I would like to see the PUD thing looked into about, no rental units if the Knutsons are willing to do that. And I would like to see the parking, the diagonal parking that Dana had the lines drawn in addressed, because it's not supposed to be that way. Thank you.
For the record, I asked them to look at it and see if it was possible. I didn't ask them to draw the lines. They made the decision, not me.
All right. Well, clearly the lines in this discussion have been drawn, so we'll get to that later. Miss Lunsky, you had a comment, please.
I just wanted to say thank you to the Knutson family for investing in Grand Forks, for coming back. It breaks my heart that we lost that smell. There's no more print shops in Grand Forks that will have that old smell, but I'm really grateful that they decided to rebuild and excited to see what happens next.
All right. Any further discussion?
I have one more comment.
All right. One more.
Okay.
That's it.
Also, I didn't appreciate some of the comments that were made at the actual planning and zoning committee on this particular item. I heard a lot of people talking about how their dreams of University Avenue are to turn it into multi-use type buildings where it's a mix of residential and like commercial properties. And you're right. I think this place deserves to be there, and I'm excited that they're going to rebuild. But I also want to remind people that a lot of people don't want that stuff in their community, and for them to really be pushing or talking about what a great idea it is to be turning these nice older residential homes into businesses, I found it a little bit offensive, because I don't think that's what they'd want to happen to the homes in their neighborhood. Like on Belmont, I'm sure a bunch of people wouldn't be happy if some of the houses on Reeves or Belmont started being bought up and turned into businesses in a residential area. And so I wasn't fond about that, but I do support the rebuilding of Knutson Printing.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay. We'll look for motion.
I move
on the item.
approval.
Got a motion to approve from Osowski, second from Lunsky. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
5.24, introduction of ordinance to amend section 18-0220 relating to F1 and F2, the floodway and floodplain districts.
All right. Did this come before us previously?
Well, sort of. What came last time was actually moving this section into chapter 19. And so that's been approved. We're going to have, we're removing it out of chapter 18 in this case. So this was the next step that we were ultimately going to do. It just wasn't ready at the time when we brought in chapter 19 and put that ordinance into place.
Move approval.
All right. Got a motion approved from Veen. Hold on. I'll see if there's a second, then we can do further discussion. I'll give the second to President Sandy. Ms. Osowski, you have a comment?
Is this just to comply with state North Dakota Century Code?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. The new code that was put into place complied with what those requirements were from the state.
Okay.
It just got moved into another chapter that's typically the building safety, building inspections chapter.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any further discussion on item 524? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. That's it for action items. We'll move on to item 6, information items.
6.1 is the portfolio management summary as of March 31st.
Thank you. Doesn't require action. Move on to 7, approval of minutes and bills.
And 7.1, vendor list that's attached.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Berg, second from Friedolfs. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
7.2 minutes from April 6th.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve as is from Ms. Berg, second from Mr. Friedolfs. Any further discussion or alterations? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item 8, city administrator comments. Any comments this evening, Mr. Friedland?
I have a couple comments, Mayor Brzezinski. We continue to work on, I know it was noted earlier, the Beacon project and also the Ray Richards redevelopment project. So I'm not sure, one of the most aggressive timeline that it would be, those would be back in front of you next week, Monday at the committee of the whole. I'm not sure if the Baker Tilly is going to have their reviews done in time or not, but I'll give you an update this week. So we're still working on the developments themselves, and then also refining some of the public plazas so that you can make a decision to move forward on the Beacon with or without the plaza, and then also the Ray Richards. So just wanted to give you a heads up. There's further analysis going on that. Also want to thank Tammy Lazur and the City Assessing Department for all their hard work throughout the year. They get a couple meetings to shine, but as we probably all know, the work goes on throughout the year, and this is their one opportunity. And so if there's more than 16,000 properties and there was just a few that were being protested tonight, that's pretty good odds, and I want to thank them for all their great work.
Thank you, Mr. Phelan. And you mentioned, I think it's important just to point out one more time, the city has put $0 into that public square to this point. Is that correct?
We have put $0 in, and really what we're trying to do is, again, it's already a win for the city of Grand Forks and all our local taxing entities. We have 2 7-story buildings that are on there versus a shut down townhouse hotel. And I think really what we want to do is try to bring you information in the public plaza. We all have doubts on whether it's a good idea or not, but we'll bring back additional numbers and have you make a decision on whether you want to move forward with that portion of it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Phelan. Move on to item 9, mayor and council member comments. Ms. Osowski, any comments
Thank
this
you,
evening?
Mayor.
Ms. Berg.
Yes, there was a wonderful time out in Wachipi this past weekend.
Thank you. Ms. Lunsky. Mr. Friedolfs?
I hope everyone got a chance to go sign the beam at the Aquatic Center. That was pretty cool, very historic, and a lot of families were there signing it, and I thought that was kind of cool. So,
I think it's too late now. Has it been raised?
I don't know.
By raised, I mean brought up, not raised.
I think it's for a future raising.
Okay, sounds good. Mr. Veen, any comments this evening?
Just one quick heads up. The North Dakota Department of Transportation is going to host a public meeting tomorrow night from 5 to 7 at the Alara Center to discuss Northern Red River flood study. The project includes a planning level study and prioritize the feasibility of alternates that reduce frequency of duration of interstate and state highway closures due to flooding of the Red River north of Grand Forks. So anybody that wants to come to a public hearing can be there at 5:30.
Thank you, Mr. Veen. President Sandy, I don't believe we have Vice President Weigel on, so.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple things. The 42nd Street Demers grade separation work technically started today. They're out moving some cones and starting to narrow down the lanes. It's not going to, the intersection won't be closed for a little while, but please be careful when going through that area. Also, I think people should take some time to go back and actually watch that planning and zoning meeting from this month. I think Ms. Osowski was correct that they were talking about changing some of the residential homes along University into mixed use. But I think their point was this is a college town and lots of college towns do that sort of thing. Certainly it would take multiple public hearings in order to change zoning and do those sorts of things. I don't think that they had the intention of putting a Valley Dairy in your backyard. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, President Sandy. I'll just echo a couple comments and then just one other one. Yeah, that grade separation, I know Mr. Weigel's not here, something he worked on, it's in his ward, but it's been 25, 30 years coming, and to get the funding and just the partnership to be able to get that project and finally see shovels in the ground, it's pretty remarkable. So really looking forward to see that. I think that entrance to the community will be used a lot more. It's kind of been, I wouldn't say that probably not the most beautiful entrance into the community, and it's going to only get better from this construction work that gets done. And again, thanks to the assessing team, I think that's pretty good work, and appreciate you reaching out to everybody in between to make tonight just a little bit easier. So appreciate that. Last note, Gristo's going to have their big groundbreaking event. Just a tremendous positive thing for the community. July 7th at 4:30. So mark that on your calendars. If you can make it back after your 4th of July celebration, there's going to be a bunch of Belgians. They've even heard Walmart's going to have some executives in town. It's a big supplier of that. So should be pretty interesting, but great for the community. With that, I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn. Got a motion from, I'm not going to recognize the first motion. I wasn't done speaking yet. So we got a motion from Ms. Lunsky. Do we have a second? Second from Mr. Friedolfs. A motion from Lunsky, second from Friedolfs. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-1 with Osowski dissenting. We are adjourned.